Hi, welcome back for the final bottle of the Diamine Inkvent Calendar of 2024. This was a very long journey and it's really a lot of work. Today is the 25th. For some it's just the end of the calendar, for some it has more religious or familiar meaning. It doesn't matter. We are here for ink. However, for the ones who think Christmas is important, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And let's see which ink we have inside the 25th of December window. It's always the big bottle, kind of the standard size. And so I hope I like that one because it's much more ink. The other ones are 12 milliliters and this one is 30, so more than the double. And this one is called Good Tidings, and it is an extreme, I'm not sure if you can read it, yes, and it is an extreme sheen ink. So let's see how that will go. I cannot understand quite well which is the color. It could almost look like a warm gray, warm dark gray, almost black. I'm not sure how this ink will look because it's only this stripe that is significant to the color of the ink. We'll see. I don't know. That's part of it, and in a few seconds I'll show you. So stay there. Now let's see how this one goes on paper. 1, 2, 3, sheening ink. So let's see what we get out of it. So close this bottle because a mess with this one would be a larger mess, of course. Let's put it here and let's see. And this ink really looks like an almost black or a very dark gray. It's very hard to tell. I think we need it to dry, but some inks with sheen after drying they sometimes look something completely different, because in some inks the sheen sometimes, and it depends on the amount of ink that I put on paper, and I put a lot for these videos, sometimes you can see it's really wet there. Sometimes the sheen takes over. It looks like a green sheen over a bluish gray ink that you can see there. So we will see. Again, this is kind of the full potential with lighter areas and darker areas, with less sheen and more sheen, and then this will allow us to have an idea of how it will look like when we write with it. But there's not much sense looking at it right now. Let's wait for it to dry and then we will get with the full review. And so the last day ink is here, completely dry, and I have to say this is kind of a disappointment because this should be it's written there, extreme sheen, and what I can see is that this ink in the Rhodia paper with the swatch as I do it with the knife, you can see some green sheen, but very hard to see. It's not that extreme, I would say. So in that regard it may be a little bit disappointing, but it also is a very deep black ink. So how would I compare this ink with? I don't have black inks with shimmer, So I'll just show you my black ink collection. And I have Italian inks like Montegrappa Black. I have Aurora Black. Both are lighter. On the lightest parts are lighter than these. This one has some shimmer, but it is more on the red. Also from Italy, we have the Great Fountain Black Sea, which is a black ink with lots of shading, which is, in my opinion, quite uncommon. We have the Kaveco, which also may have a little bit of sheen, but not that much. Kaveco Pearl Black. And finally, one of my favorite inks ever, although it is not a real, true, very dark black, we have the Parker Ink Black. That has shadings that go between all these. You can see a slight sheen, very difficult to understand, but also this for an extreme sheen doesn't look that good. Okay, let's go for the chromatography, and we have here a party of colors. So there is lots of red, almost black, and then a blue-green color. So this shows that this ink is really, really saturated. And it is, there's no doubt about it. And an ink with a sheen needs to be saturated and needs to dry a little slowly to allow the pools of ink to set on top of the paper and then to dry. So let's see how this will show on paper with a pen, and let me show you the pens that I chose for today. So I chose two pens that are not that obvious. One is this. This is a pen with a little modification. I had a viewer asking in a comment one of these days, in this week, I don't remember when, maybe yesterday, day before, I don't know. He asked me what I did with this pen, because this pen is the WingSung 60, a very interesting pen. That was kind of a copy of a Fisher Space Pen, but Fisher Space Pen is not fountain pen. Okay, doesn't matter. But it had a space shuttle there, yellow, and one thing that I did was that I took the plane out, and I decided that I would do something with this. But I never made a follow-up video. It was 4 years ago, and that viewer was asking what I did. I just bought a Fisher Space Pen replacement clip, and I put on this pen, and I think it looks better than with the yellow space shuttle. So this pen is a small pen, like a pocket pen, that gets in a bigger size like this. It has this nib that reminds us, it's a WingSung nib, but reminds us of those Schiffer conical nibs, and inside it fills with a kind of an aromatic system. It doesn't feel very well at all, less than half, but I think this pen is very interesting, very, very interesting, and today I cannot find it on eBay, which is kind of strange. I think they did stop making it and it completely disappeared. So this one has a fine nib and it has a bladder to fill, so just kind of an aromatic system. This one is a Pilot 74, Pilot Custom 74. This pen is not mine, it's from my friend Luis. He loaned me this pen, or he lent me this pen to make some videos, and I still need to make those videos about this model. And this one has, let me show you, 3 times. It is a music, let me clean it just slightly, if possible. Not that possible because this ink has sheen and it gets stuck on nibs, but you can see there it has 3 tines. It is a music nib. So it is an interesting pen. It takes cartridges or converter. And what did I write with these pens? I made 3 writing samples as usual, and I have here the moleskin paper, the Oxford optic paper, and the copy paper. So when we look at the copy paper, what we see is a very dark saturated black ink with bleed through. When we look, you can see the difference in line between the WingSung F and the music nib from the Pilot. Here you can see a little bleed through, not that much, but when you look at light, against light, I'm not sure if you can see it. I can, but the angle is not the same. Okay, I think right now you can see it here. It has that green sheen on moleskin paper. So although the swatch was disappointing, it does has sheen. It has sheen on Rhodia paper, lots of sheen, even more on Oxford optic paper. I think you can see it much more with both pens, even the fine or the music nib, and perfect behavior, no bleed through, and as I showed you with copy paper, nothing happens, just black. About some shading or something like that, you don't see much of it. It's really a very black saturated ink. So now let's see how it was with the Rhodia paper. And what I did here was to try to see how long it would take to dry, and it takes to dry 25 to 30 seconds, and I would say this is kind of common with an ink that has some sheen, and it really does have in some papers. Here with the Rhodia paper, I think you can see a little bit, but it's not very impressive, not at least not as impressive as with the other papers except the copy paper. And I did here the water resistance test, and what you can see by these red things is that the ink is really saturated, so ink is left behind, but the original line completely disappears. You may say, no, not completely, there are some places, yes, but almost disappears. It is impossible to read, at least to read a bigger text in some extent. It's like trying to guess what's there. So this is how the ink behaves. By the way, I wanted to show you just on the Rhodia swatch. We don't see that much sheen, a little bit there. But as it happens with some inks with sheen, it does bleed through on this paper. So let's just write the 2 phrases. One with the WingSung 60 pocket pen. So this pen is really good. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And now with this pen that I really hate, I like this model, I hate these kind of nibs, but that's why it's not mine, it's just on loan. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And it seems to be a little bit thick, this ink, and sometimes it skips a little bit, as you could see, and here it is. So there is some green sheen. I don't think it's that visible as they say for an extreme sheen, but there is some sheen to be seen. Some sheen to be seen. And I think this is an interesting ink, mostly because it's black and because if you use it on the right paper, it can become quite interesting. So this is all. This is the end of this heavy series of videos with a daily video about the Inkvent calendar. I hope you enjoy this series. I hope this will help you to choose if you want to make any of these inks or the calendar after this ends. I don't know. I hope this was useful for you, at least entertaining. And so thank you all for watching throughout all these 25 days. And thank you to Appelboom for providing me the calendar for review, because that was the boost that I needed to make this kind of very long and difficult to do a little bit. So this is all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will try to be here again soon for something else that's not about inks. So see you next time. Bye.